In the summer of 1976, at 13 years old, I drank my first beer and smoked marijuana for the first time. And last, I was accepted by some cool kids. So I started getting high on a regular basis. In the biker world, the meanest, nastiest guy in the bunch ran the show. So I worked at being that guy. I physically abused my wife, and I'd get into bloody fights with my dad. I remember talking to my mother one time just before I got sober, and she told me that she hoped one of us died soon, her or me.
I've been shot once, been stabbed 3 times, so, I've been through some things, in that life. I was found by the president of the club at some point, and we did have a shootout, and that was right here in Wendell, North Carolina. So in the motorcycle world, there are groups. They're called one percenters. It can be a violent world. It can be a scary world. I did grow up with seeing abuse. My father was an alcoholic that physically abused my mother, and he ended up homeless for 3 years.
Lost the houses, motorcycles.
All the houses, motorcycles. I left 2 boats in the water on Topsail Island, just walked away. I had so many charges against me. Took 3 years of homelessness.
Before you hit that
Before I hit bottom, God kind of gave me the vision for Broken Chains. We're a Christian recovery motorcycle group.
Broken Chains started at Temple City Church.
Temple City Church, that's right, man.
Hey everybody, John Eklund here. We are living on Incline, sponsored by Recovery Live. And today I got my good buddy, Jeff Stultz, on Living on Incline. Welcome, Jeff. Why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about yourself. Thank you so much for coming all the way from Fayetteville to hang out with us.
Man, it's great to be here. I tell you, my name's Jeff Stultz. I get to serve as a Recovery Live National Ambassador. It's one of the greatest honors of my life, man, spreading the message about Recovery Alive and the hope and healing available in Jesus Christ that we find through that, I'm also the founder of Broken Chains, and we're a Christian recovery motorcycle group. And we have...
Not a motorcycle gang.
Not a gang, not a club.
Not a club.
That's right. I tell you, there are Christian motorcycle clubs, but for me, the word club just kind of dictates exclusiveness.
Right. I remember us talking about this early on. Broken Chains started at Temple City Church.
Temple City Church, that's right, man.
How many years ago?
In 2016, so 9 years ago.
This has been going on 9 years. How many members?
We have thousands of members. It's really hard to say how many active members. We have about 6,500 members on the books.
Yeah.
Not all of them are active, but we do have thousands of members, and we're in all 50 states, and we're in 15 countries around the world.
Wow. Including
Guam.
Guam,
yeah. In fact, I was just...
You're supposed to take me to Guam, man. What happened?
We got to plan the trip, man. I'm dealing with some health issues, but as soon as I get them behind me, we'll take a trip to Guam.
So I remember us having a conversation about you did not want to call this like a motorcycle club or to speak more about it.
Yeah. So, I mean, like I said, that kind of dictated exclusiveness. And I've been in motorcycle clubs coming up in my life before I was a Christian. And so as God kind of gave me the vision for Broken Chains, we wanted to be something different.
Yeah.
If I wanted to join another Christian motorcycle group, I would have just joined one that already existed.
Right.
But God wanted to do something different with us. So you have motorcycle clubs, you have riding clubs, you have motorcycle associations, you have motorcycle ministries, and we're none of those. We call ourselves a JC. We're a Jesus community.
Yeah.
So we do things a little bit different. In fact, the powers that be in the motorcycle world around the country have a hard time fitting us into one of the boxes they want to put.
You've had some conversations with some one percenters.
We have.
Tell us about that world a little bit. And you lived in that world. I know we're jumping ahead of ourselves, but I'd love to hear a little bit. I think folks don't really know that world and how you have to really be careful and walk some lines and what kind of like the colors of your vest, all that kind of stuff. Talk about the culture.
So in the motorcycle world, there are groups. They're called one percenters, or they're called diamonds, because they wear a diamond shaped patch right here with the 1% mark. And what happened was, I think it was back in the 50s, the American Motorcycle Association, they had this, there were, a lot of people had the idea that all bikers were like outlaws,
Right.
rebels living,
The
against
stereotype.
Yeah.
Bad people.
And so what they did was they did a survey in the American Motorcycle Association, and it turned out that only 1% of the biker community were actually those people that were rebels, that were, kind of living outside of the law and doing some things like that. And so there are many groups around the country that call themselves the one percenters.
Okay.
And usually
That's where that came from.
That's right.
So they claim they're the outlaws.
Oh, yeah, the ones.
They gladly embrace it. They're
they
the
embrace
outlaws.
That's what they do. That's who they are, and they pretty much run each state.
Okay.
So some states have more than 1% group. They divide states. Some places they're usually not in two places together, and some states are run by 1% group. And so, as Broken Chains, when you start a motorcycle group, you have to have permission to be able to wear a patch
From those folks, from the 1%.
those folks. That's right, because there's a hierarchy.
Or bad things will happen. Like it's kind of the scary thing.
It can be a violent world. It can be a scary world, So you have to jump through the right hoops and do the right things. And God blessed me with that background.
Right.
So that I would know some of those things. And then he surrounded me with people in Broken Chains that could take up that mantle and help us to connect with those groups all around the country so that we would have permission so that our members would not be, in harm's way.
Yeah. Living on Incline's about people who wake up in the morning and they say, man, I want the next challenge. I want to find out what I'm capable of. I want to find out just what my potential is, my God-given potential, and every day going like, what's next? What's next? What's the next challenge? What's the next mountain? And you've lived that way, but it didn't start that way. It used to be, you're talking about how you have that experience with some of those organizations, some of those outlaw organizations. Let's start a little bit early, if you don't mind. How did you get involved in some of that criminal element? Talk about your background a little bit.
So I grew up as a heavy kid that was picked on and scared. And, I think as I got older, I picked up an Easy Rider magazine, and it had these guys, man. They were tough, scary-looking guys, and I decided that's what I want to be. I want to turn the page, and I don't want to be the scared guy. I want to be the intimidator. I want to be the bully.
Just like a lot of kids all throughout history, that was your way into leaving that life of being a nobody, kind of a bullied
Feeling
kid.
accepted. That's exactly
Feeling
right.
accepted, feeling special. Community.
That's right.
There we go. Connection.
I always say, we're all going to find community, right? Because we're created for community. And the world has many more communities than the church has. And so the world will open up a community where we feel
It's
like
somewhat
we
more
fit in.
accepting than the church.
That's right. Oh my gosh, many of them more accepting than the church, and that can be sad. But I think the church is making strides in the right direction. But yeah. So I was an angry young man, and when I found the motorcycle club, man, I just fit right into that mold. And
how did they welcome you? Like, how did tell us about your first connection? How did you start connecting to folks in that motorcycle? What was your first step?
Well, I tell you what. So I was in the Army. I moved back home to Fayetteville, North Carolina. I was stationed at Fort Bragg. Yeah. I started my own motorcycle group very young.
Did you really? I didn't know that.
Started my own.
What were they called?
Well, I can tell you that they were called The Last Chance.
The Last Chance.
And so I started the group. Well, then I was cornered at a bar by an existing motorcycle group that told me, they said, you can either take that patch off and join our club or we'll beat you to death. And I said, I want to join your club.
Pretty easy choice.
That's right.
You're smarter than you look.
That's right, man. So I joined that club, and I rode with that club for about 5 years, and I became the president. I rose to power pretty quickly because I was a really violent guy that just was willing to do whatever it took.
What was going on with you that your life wasn't that valuable to you, right? Just if you're going to be that person who's going to be that violent and put yourself out there.
I think it's kind of crazy, John, because I don't really. It's hard to pinpoint. What I know is I come from a decent family.
Right.
My father was military. My mother was a professional woman. But I did grow up with seeing abuse. My father was an alcoholic that physically abused my mother. He would later become a much better man than that. But in my in my childhood, I remember that. And, I think I was just very angry about all of that, coming up in that kind of a family. For the most part, like I say, everything was good, but there were those times, those moments, and those are the things that stick out, right? I mean, those are the.
But it seems like you're this person that who's like, I'm willing to put everything on the line to be in this, not just be a part of this organization, but like I want to rise to the level of president, which would mean that I would think you would have had to do some very dangerous things. You'd have to. A lot of risk-taking behavior, putting your life on the line. And there's something about that feels desperate and willing to throw your life away. And I'm just curious at that time, I'm sure there was some drugs and alcohol involved.
Oh, sure, absolutely.
So what was your mindset at that point?
Well,
'cause it's so different, obviously, from where you're at.
I think as a young man, I didn't really believe that I would live to be more than maybe 30 years old. So I wasn't. I really wasn't afraid to die. I was drinking and heavily and using a lot of different drugs, and just in that scene, and because the community I was a part of, the meanest, nastiest, worst guy in the crowd rose to power, and so
that's kind of what I'm getting at. That's the culture.
Yeah, that was the culture, and so I think, So God created me to be a leader, right?
Yes.
So leadership is a spiritual gift. So I was a leader,
right?
Even in that world, and I did what it took to become a leader.
Do whatever it takes
in that world. Yeah. And but I was just leading for the wrong entity.
How bad did it get?
I mean, it got pretty bad. I mean, I never went to prison. Luckily I had parents that had some money, and we paid lawyers and. Lots of charges.
You were locked up
at different times. So I was in and out of jail quite a bit. But then in 2001, my big sister passed away, and that's when I tried crack cocaine for the first time. And then even the biker world didn't want you around. See, in the motorcycle club community, we always said you have to be awfully honest to be an outlaw and survive, right? And so because we had to trust each other. And so I've never done needle drugs because the motorcycle club didn't allow it. I would have.
See, I think I don't know that people understand that. I think that's the perception is it's just sex, drugs, rock and roll, whatever you want to do, whatever it takes. But there's sort of an ethic to that culture.
Yeah,
there's some strong ethics to that.
There is, because if your brother can't trust you, because you're doing things that people know you're doing, and the only people that know are the people that you really trust. And so I never tried needle drugs because they didn't allow it in the motorcycle club. When I finally smoked crack cocaine for the first time, even the bikers didn't want me around because it was really kind of the same thing. It was a new drug that had come on the scene that made you not trustworthy.
So, what was your off ramp? It was breaking that ethic with the motorcycle club.
Well, I think it was the death of my sister. So as I.
But how did you get out though? You know what I mean? Is it the mafia? I mean, is it
yeah. I mean, there was a shootout. I mean, there were.
You did get shot.
Yeah, I've been shot once. Been stabbed 3 times. So, I've been through some things. In that life. But when I finally left the club,
how did you get out?
So I disappeared.
Oh, okay.
I disappeared. I was found by the president of the club at some point, and we did have a shootout. And that was right here in Wendell, North Carolina, not far from where we're sitting today.
Wow.
And then I just kind of disappeared.
Yeah.
From that world for a long, long time. I ended up. Because I left there, I started smoking crack cocaine, and that was a whole nother world of rebels and people breaking the law, and but it was a whole different culture than the motorcycle club.
Where were you at that point when you're starting to pick up your drug?
When I started to smoke crack cocaine, I had a house on Topsail Island, and I had a house in Fuquay Varina.
Because you were you were starting to become a little more successful financially.
I was doing well. I had a little tile store in in Sneed's Ferry, just off Topsail Island, and I had quite a few guys working for me, and I was introduced to crack cocaine, even though I knew the guys that worked for me. See, I fired them if I caught them using it because I knew they'd start stealing my stuff, right?
Right.
So I knew what it did, but I thought I could handle it, right? So it was actually, my sister, my big sister, the first person in my immediate family to pass away. She died from pancreatic cancer in 2001, September 10th of 2001. And then Christmas rolled around, and it was my first. So it was my first Christmas without my daughter. My wife and I had divorced, so Christmas without my daughter, Christmas without my sister, and so I had a buddy of mine bring some crack cocaine over, and I thought I could handle it.
Yeah,
because I was the smart guy, right? I was the leader. I was the smart guy in the crowd, and I can do it. This once to kind of escape, and man, it was like almost an instant addiction.
Wow.
And I didn't stop until everything was gone. Everything was gone. I ended up homeless for 3 years.
Lost the houses, motorcycles.
All the houses, motorcycles. I left 2 boats in the water on Topsail Island, just walked away. I had so many charges against me.
Wow.
That I couldn't go back out on the island for fear of being arrested out there.
Those are drug charges that you were...
Well, that's the crazy thing. I've never had one drug charge. But every charge that I've had
to do with drugs.
Right. It was mostly theft. So I'm a convicted felon right now for car theft. So I stole cars. I stole purses. I stole. I just stole
whatever you could do.
Yeah,
and it was all to get the drug.
It was all to get high.
All to get high. How much were you spending?
Oh,
at the peak.
There was probably times when I was spending between $500 and $1,000 a day.
And that's unsustainable.
Oh,
unsustainable.
Yeah, I mean, you have to keep breaking the law, and then you keep getting arrested, and then you keep, unfortunately, I had a father who was enabling, and my father loved me. I got to tell you, it's kind of it's a challenge in my thought process because, he showed me the love of Jesus Christ. He couldn't have loved me anymore, but he couldn't have loved me any less. He just loved me. But I could lie to him, and he would send me money. Because I can remember going to jail was a good thing for me because then I could call my dad, tell him I needed bond money, I needed lawyer money, and then they offered me a deal. If I paid them this much, they dropped the charge. I just lied, and then so he would Western Union me $1,500 or something.
But I saw the emotion there because it is so complicated to think like here's a man that loved you, and then to some extent you probably think back on that. You and I have talked about this and go like, that was an important grace and a love that had an impact over time, but that enabling was killing you at the same time.
Absolutely.
And your ongoing misuse and using him, I think, still very much it grieves you, huh?
Oh yeah, I think my father probably would have lived a few years longer if it wasn't for me and how I treated him for several years. So I remember my dad having nightmares in the hospital that I was calling him for money. So, and I remember bragging to people that I could do that when I was out there, and it was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. The depth that I found myself in, and I try to tell people as a recovery pastor, tell people, you gotta let your son be homeless. It didn't take a day or a week for me. It took 3 years of homelessness.
Before you hit that
bottom. I hit bottom. Before I decided, and look, I didn't quit getting high because I wanted to quit getting high. I quit getting high because I wanted to quit going to jail.
Right.
And the only way to quit going to jail was to quit getting high.
Right.
So the desire to stay sober came later.
Man, as a therapist, codependency to me is the hardest thing to help somebody through, especially a parent who's trying to love their child. It's just a
It's so tough, John, because I don't know that I wouldn't have died sooner had my dad not been enabling me.
It's such a mess,
know.
right? Yeah, exactly right. And so, talk about your mom, because I've had the opportunity to see that relationship and watch the way that she loved you, and she was so proud of you. Your dad was enabling, but your mom,
she cut me off, man.
she's a little tougher. She wasn't very big.
They called her the little general.
She was a little general, and she would not put up with it. It was different. Talk about your mom.
She loved me.
Yeah.
She loved me enough to cut me off. She loved me appropriately, as we might say,
Response.
And she cut me off. In fact, my father enabling me almost caused my parents to get a divorce at one point.
I was going to ask about that, because that's a
doing that
dynamic.
behind my mother's back. Okay.
Yeah,
they actually ended up in a bankruptcy because of me, because of my father enabling me. And, and I remember my mother telling me that she hoped one of us died soon, her or me, because she just couldn't take it.
Wow.
And so, but man, I tell you, God healed that and restored that relationship.
Such a beautiful way.
When I was, when I got sober and I got saved, man, it was about a year. I mean, it took a while.
So 3 years.
3 years.
You're out there homeless, using. We talk about you being in Nashville, and by the way, you even still go back to Nashville. Candy Christmases ministry, Preach Under the Bridge.
Yeah.
You were a part of that ministry. You were benefited by that ministry, but you were a homeless addict living under the bridges in Nashville, Tennessee. We talked to Tisha Temple about this, and like people listening or watching this, it's hard to wrap our heads around what is the daily life of someone who has nowhere to live and is still trying to feed their habit. Can you speak on that? What does that feel like? What does that look like?
So it's, it's really a nightmare looking back. At the time you don't see it, because when I would wake up, if I did sleep, I would go for days without sleeping because I, always had drugs that kept me up. But so you wake up, man, and you're just trying to figure out how to get high.
Yeah.
Where
are you waking up?
Well, wherever, sometimes it would be in a hotel where somebody that I knew had a room, and I would give them some drugs and they let me stay there. Sometimes it would be in a portico behind a business, where it'd be out of the rain and the mist, and sleeping back
You
there.
got police hassling you? You got...
Oh, yeah. We had the police run us off. I've taken some of my friends to some of those places in Nashville where I used to stay when I was homeless, and, in the bushes and in the trees, I always remember finding there was an auto zone that I used to go sleep behind because they had a concrete pad behind it, and with a pillow you could sleep anywhere.
Yeah.
And so there was a Walgreens next to the auto zone, and they had a dumpster, and so I had got me a pillow out of the dumpster, and they always threw away like old candy and stuff, so there was food and things like that. But I remember sleeping. You'd think sleeping in the grass would be more comfortable, but there's bugs in the grass.
Yeah.
You can sleep on the concrete, and the bugs are not there like in the grass. And so it was always more comfortable to sleep on the concrete. But, you wake up and you're just trying to figure out how to get high, man, and so whether it's going to go steal a car, I would stand outside of a convenience store until somebody left their car running, and then I would jump in the car and take off. And then, of course, I had their address from the registration. I had their house keys. So go straight to the house. I'm robbing the house while they're dealing with the police about the stolen car.
Lock your doors, people.
At the convenience store.
Lock your car.
Look, I'm 18 years. I'm 18 years sober when I walk by a car that's
Lock
running.
your doors, buddy.
When
Lock
I walk by a car that's running at a convenience store, I'm still tempted to jump in and take off.
It's a trigger.
It's a trigger.
I'm not doing that around you anymore. I'm not going to do it. So, all right. So, you, hey, and I was going to ask you too. You and I have had some good conversations about how do people. This happened while I was out of town in Nashville. I was at the American Association of Christian Counselors World Conference. It was an amazing experience. Yeah, and so during the week I go to Planet Fitness and I'm working out, and a guy approaches me. I got Recovery Live on the side of my Jeep, and we just strike up a conversation, and he's telling me he just got out of prison and he's looking to try to get into a transition house. And I ended up giving him some cash. And, I walk away from those scenarios going like, is that the right thing to do? And you and I have had these conversations. Can you just speak to that? Like, what as a believer, as a Christian, what's our approach to homelessness? How do we? I know that's a big question too, because everybody's different, right? But how would you recommend people?
I think as Christians, we have to be connected in our communities to community partners to help us with those kind of problems. I mean, as a Christian, if somebody comes to me at Planet Fitness in the morning and tells me that they just got out of jail, they're looking, they don't have anywhere to stay, then I can give them a phone number to call somebody to help them find a place to stay, to help them find those resources. I think giving money is, if God's telling you to give money, give money, but you have to give it and forget about it, right?
I don't have much expectation.
This
is going to work well.
That's probably not. I don't typically give money, but I typically have some stuff in my car that I might have a sandwich or some nabs, some cheese crackers or something I can give somebody that's hungry, and help, and then I'm connected to those community partners that can help me get them in the right place. In fact, I'm getting ready to plant a church called the Hope Spot. And we're hoping to be open 24 hours a day. So when those people get out of jail at 11 or 12 o'clock at night, the police know they can bring them to the Hope Spot.
That's so beautiful.
And we can go put them in a hotel until tomorrow morning when we can connect them to the resources. That we want to church the church, right? We want to be the church, man, to the community that needs it the most.
And expect that folks are going to come to your church looking for solutions, looking for answers, maybe not with the best intentions, but we have resources for them.
That's right. And that's beautiful about the American Association of Christian Counselors and all the things that they've added to us as Christians, that we can learn to be a help, to be a resource to people in our community that need it the most. Look, your average family that's coming to church on Sunday morning, they don't need the resources, right? It's the ones that are out there in the ditch, man. That we always say we want to come to the church until they get there sometimes, and then we don't know what to do with it.
Right, and that's our soapbox at Recovery Live. That's what you and I have spent a lot of time trying to design is like a system of care. Somebody comes to the church, and the church is an urgent care center for folks who are struggling with substance use disorders, mental health issues. Right. And they hear, hey, we can help you, because if they hear at the church that we can't help you, they're hearing that God can't help them. If the church says, I can't help you, they're hearing God can't help you.
That's right.
So if we're equipped, we're ready to receive them, we're ready to take them on, we got not just a compassionate response, but a competent
In my opinion, every church should have a peer support specialist on staff, should have a mental health coach on staff. I mean, those people should be on staff of the church.
Absolutely. Mental health coaches, having a Recovery Live ministry, an in-house 12-step program.
We have to be the answer. If we're the body of Christ, we have to be the
Preach.
Answer. We have to be the answer. Right?
Or the church says, hey, we can't help you with these things, but the secular place down the street, people who don't have Jesus do a better job being Jesus.
It's crazy,
people who don't follow Jesus do a better job acting like Jesus.
I tell people in the motorcycle club life, before I was a Christian, I learned more about kingdom than I've ever learned in church.
Yeah.
And I've been able to carry that over.
Well, and that's how it started, a place to connect and a place to belong. It's you got saved, you start putting on your shirt and tie,
That's right, man. That's right. I plugged into a crisis and recovery program.
You got sober?
I got sober. That's right. I moved back to Fayetteville, North Carolina.
How much sobriety you got sitting here?
So today I've got 18 years, 18 plus years. March 1st is my sobriety date.
Nice. 18 years.
Plus years. I wondered in my early recovery, I remember thinking, I don't want to be one of those guys with 20 years of sobriety because they're not speaking to me.
Yeah.
But, I think I am one of those guys that is speaking to people in their new recovery because I've embraced recovery all these years, and it's helped me maintain that love affair with Jesus Christ. Let me tell you, I was just thinking about it last night, John. When we fall in love with somebody, it's unsustainable, right? You're on the phone till midnight every night.
That infatuation.
So when we fall in love with Jesus Christ, man, how can we keep that infatuation? And I think recovery has helped me to
discipleship,
keep that.
sure,
Yeah,
100%.
it's the best discipleship there is,
100%.
man. Because it's what Recovery Life does, right? It cleans us up emotionally.
Yeah.
We got to clean up on the inside, man. We can't be spiritually healthy and an emotional wreck.
Yeah.
Which is what we see too many Christians out there dealing with.
You're speaking my language, man. Yeah, that's Peter Scazzero's Emotionally Healthy Spirituality. It's impossible to be spiritually mature and emotionally immature. Yeah, and that is what we're trying to get to, is that recovery becomes a discipleship program. And for sure, for you, getting involved with some huge national recovery programs and giving back. You didn't just receive recovery, 12-step work. You didn't just receive what Jesus had to offer you through church. But you immediately said, how do I give this back? And you've done it for 18 years. You've been doing that. And that's how I met you, is at a place in California where you were serving.
Yes.
You were serving.
Yes.
And it's been incredible to watch you grow in your relationship with God and in your recovery, to starting this Broken Chains program. But I do want to connect kind of as a ramp, as a bridge to where we are today, is that you've had some health issues. This is your second round of
third cancer diagnosis.
Third cancer diagnosis. It's incredible to watch you work through this in a way that you're not in any kind of denial. You call the people you love, you ask for help, you ask for prayer. I've been so happy to be on the other end of that phone, man, and watching you go through this is just so inspiring to so many of us, man. It's incredible. And the thing I'm going to use kind of as an on-ramp is, you said, I didn't want to be that guy who's got 20 years of recovery and doesn't feel like I have a whole lot to offer that new guy who's walking in the door. But I remember, this is personal, but I remember you texting me, I think, and we had a conversation about this. I don't know if it was your first or second round, but you started talking about, hey, man, they're talking about giving me opioids. You were like, is this okay? Like, it was so vulnerable. And I'm like, dude, that kind of pain that you're going through, because we were dealing with the opioid epidemic and we were speaking on it. And it sounded like you were willing to go, I will go through this pain if it means that I keep my witness and my example, And so, but that's real, right? Like that kind of pain that you have been through, that's how people get reconnected with a different kind of an addiction, right? That's been a temptation. It's been a struggle.
Yeah.
Can you speak to that a little bit?
I'm on oxycodone right now for throat pain. I have a tumor in my neck, and it's pressing against my airway, and it's causing, I can't eat solid foods, and I have throat pain, and so I have to take it when I have to take it. I don't always tell Pamela, she's worried. Pamela says, you're going to be an addict.
Pam's worried about a lot of things. Pamela worries about lots of stuff.
But I tell her, if I wake up in the morning and I need some, then I might have a problem. Then I need to call John or some of my other accountability people. But I just take it when I need it. I take it as ordered by the doctor.
As prescribed,
I don't even take it as prescribed. I take it less than prescribed.
And you're having conversations with your sponsor, your accountability partners.
That's right. There's nothing hidden. I've had people I love who were addicts just recently. I mean, just because I've been in recovery 18 years don't mean everybody I know has been in recovery. So I have people I know that struggle with substance abuse and they don't tell their doctor.
Right.
And I see that. I go with them to their doctor visit and they won't tell their doctor, and I try to tell them, man, you're not helping yourself, but they're not in recovery.
Right.
So
you're working your program.
So yeah, even
at 18 years sober, you have to work your.
Well, I'm going to tell you, my primary care physician. So I've struggled with some anxiety through the cancer. This has been third cancer diagnoses, and so he gives me some alprazolam, some Xanax.
Yeah.
But he won't. I get 0 refills because my doctor knows I'm an addict.
Yeah.
And so he's going to make sure that I have to come back and see him every month to get a refill on those 20. He doesn't even give me, there's not one for every day. No, he gives me 20, and sometimes I need them, and sometimes I don't.
Because it would be a fast.
That's right. That's right. If he gave me a six month refill of as many as I wanted, then I would go down that path, man. Or I could go down that path, And so, but I try to be, I try to have that accountability with my doctors, with my friends, with my accountability partners, with my sponsor.
So
this episode is sponsored by Recovery Alive, a Christ-centered recovery movement helping people rebuild their lives, restore relationships, and renew their faith. Through safe recovery homes, life-changing support groups, and personalized coaching, Recovery Alive provides hope and a clear path forward for those battling addiction, mental health challenges, or life's toughest seasons. I've seen firsthand how this community changes lives, and yours could be next. Learn more at recoveryalive.com.
Where are we at with this round? Can you just speak on this journey and kind of where we're at with this bout of cancer?
So
if you don't mind sharing?
This one's been a little scary. I really was struggling with pain for about a year, and I was going to the doctors, and they couldn't figure it out.
In your throat.
So by the time they found the tumor, it was late stage. And so I've been through one course of chemo, which I lost all my hair and my beard.
Can we see the tattoo?
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Where's the camera?
Huh? We got to see. Where's it at, Solomon?
Oh, it's right there.
All right, it's right there. We got to see it. So he lost your hair, made the best use of it. Come on, turn that thing around. That is gorgeous. D-O-T. That's the Department of Transportation.
Were you able to see it?
Yeah, we saw it,
Okay.
Department of Transportation. That means your head is DOT certified, so you don't even need a helmet anymore.
In the motorcycle world, all legal helmets have a DOT sticker on the back. So I said, well, this will be the only chance of my life. I'll be bald.
I love it,
So I'm
man.
going to get my head tattooed.
But that was hard.
which I later found was a bad idea.
Yeah, well, right. Not a great medical decision, but this was hard to lose the hair.
Hard to lose the hair. I've been growing my hair for 9 years. I've had long hair my whole adult life. And so that was difficult. My beard, long beard, that fell out. And so that's, it's not vanity because it's not like I'm a great looking guy. In fact, many people are telling me I look better without the hair, but
either way,
my hair meant something to me. It meant something to me. And so losing that was very personal.
Yeah.
And this, I'm doing immunotherapy right now. I've been radiated in my neck 28 times for throat cancer I had back in 2018. So they're afraid to do radiation because of all the scar tissue that's in there. And so they're talking about surgery. So they may have to go in and take out my whole throat, the larynx, the
voice box,
everything. And then it'll be a long road to learn. In fact, they told me that 65% of the people in the country that have this surgery never speak again. But at UNC, where they're doing mine, they said they have 100%.
There we go.
So, in fact, when I met with the speech pathologist, and he, after talking to me for about 30 minutes, he said, "You're going to be one of those people.
Amen.
They're going to come back and help me teach people how to talk."
Amen.
So if I have to have that, I'll do it. I'll do whatever, that'll give me a breathing tube here in my neck. And, it'll be about 4 months that it'll take before I'm able to verbally communicate again.
And I remember, I think it was a month ago, you and I were having a conversation, and that you said scary. You're using words like scary and anxiety. And you said, I just feel like I have more gospel to share in this world. That hit me. Like you said, I'll draw on a chalkboard if I have to tell people about Jesus. That feels like a really good reason to keep on fighting. And
I told somebody this just the other day. So, when I was in high school, I took typing, and and I was good at it.
Yeah.
And then I lost it, and then I joined the Army, and I had to take typing again, and I got it back, and then I lost it.
Yeah.
And then years later, I became a tile store manager, and that was when Windows was first coming out, and I had to type, And so today I have these typing skills. And so, man, if I have to stand on the stage and type my message for it to come up on screen, that's what I'll do.
Why is this so urgent that what is the urgency with you sharing the gospel if it's a gas station and you have these serenity rags that you're passing out, these motorcycle rags that everywhere you go, you and the folks that are following you as the president of the Broken Chains, everywhere these bikers are going, they're spreading this gospel through whatever means necessary. What's the urgency, Jeff?
Well, because I knew me.
Mm-hmm.
And I ain't the old me.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that helps, the thing that strengthens my faith more than anything is that I knew the old me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not that guy. Jesus changed my life, man. He changed my standard for living life. And man, the freedom is there, right? I mean, James 1:2 is one of my favorite verses. Take pure joy when life comes at you from every direction,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, that's not easy.
Yeah.
I'm dealing with it right now, right? I mean, it's hard to take joy when you don't know. You know, they told me Tuesday my cancer may be progressing to the other side. They're not sure. So it's hard to take joy in that. But the joy is, you know, God has given me 18 years of this freedom, man. Yeah. The life that I've lived for the last 18 years since accepting Christ has been so truly amazing, man. Everybody needs that. Everybody deserves that.
But you have done your part. You have given back. You paid your dues. You and your mom's relationship when she left the earth, beautiful. Both your parents would be so proud of you. You have ministered. You've been a pastor. You've been a Broken Chains president, leading a huge national global organization, spoken on stages all over the country, all over the world. Why don't you just ride into the sunset? Like right now, you could have probably a pretty good life. You got the tile store. You could just retire. You could just retire, man.
Because I'm compelled, man. You know, he said, go out to the ditches and the highways and the byways and bring them in until my house is full, right? He didn't say, hey, man, you know, get one and bring them in and then go relax. He said, go out, man, and compel them to come in. And that's what I have to do, man. I have to do it. I can't not do it, man. God has called me. He's called all of us Christians to go out and win people for Christ. And I don't mean just going out and praying a prayer. I mean, that sometimes that's good. I mean, there's nothing bad about that. But man, I want to go out and win people to Christ, man, by showing them a changed life.
So you have some things cooking still.
Yeah.
You got some things cooking. You've got the Hope Spot.
Got the Hope Spot.
You're growing Broken Chains.
Growing Broken Chains. We're a motorcycle missionary. We're commissioning Christian bikers to be missionaries in their communities through mental health coaching, through peer support training, through evangelism, gospel doctrine. You know, we're teaching them to equip the local churches how to deal with the people that are in the ditches.
Well, Tara Tucker's sitting right out here.
Tara Tucker, that's right. One of our community partners and Broken Chains member. She is a community paramedic. And she came along beside us as a community partner and realized we were having so much fun. She went out and bought herself a motorcycle.
She did.
That's right. So she rides and, you know, and she's just been amazing to help us to open our eyes to a lot of the different ways to love on people. You know, we can't guilt people to Christ. We can't fuss people to Christ. We can only love people to Christ, right? So we're opening the Hope Spot. It's not even really a Christian place. It's just a place run by Christians. Mm-hmm. We just want to live out our Christianity, not try to push it on people.
Meet people
because
where they're at.
When we live it out, they're going to want it, right?
Yeah.
Man, oh man.
Hope Spot's going to be open when?
Soon, hopefully by the end of the year. So we just had the Carolina Treatment Center partner with us in a big opioid grant.
That's awesome.
And that's going to help us to employ peer support specialists.
So they'll be at the Hope Spot.
At the Hope Spot.
So we got basically a church that's going to have peer support specialists. You're going to have Narcan. You're going to have people meeting folks there, loving
That's
on
right.
people where they're at. And you got Christians who are going to love them
That's right.
with the gospel. And it's in
always
heart.
selfish. So we're not gonna try to force people to Jesus or force people into recovery. We're just gonna love on them, and if they want Jesus, which how can you not want Jesus when you see him work, right? Then we're gonna be there for them.
You
And
have
if they
Recovery
want
Live
recovery,
there, right? You're gonna have Recovery Live.
well, we're gonna have Recovery Live. We're gonna have Smart Recovery. We're gonna have several options because we want. Again, we're not trying to force people into recovery, but if they want recovery, we want to make it available to them. So we're going to have a non-traditional church service every week for sex workers and people that struggle with substance abuse and people that deal drugs. I mean, people in my community, my neighborhood where I live, they're going to feel comfortable to come into my church that God has given me, man, to just love on us.
Sounds like my kind of church, man. I want to be there. I want to hang out there. Can't wait, man.
I get
So if people want to support what you're doing, Motorcycle Missionary, Broken Chains, Hope Spot, what's the best way somebody could support some of these ongoing efforts of yours?
So there's the Hope Spot, Fayetteville.com.
Okay.
Is one website to support the Hope Spot. Broken Chains, JC.com. Is the website for Broken Chains, and then Motorcycle Missionary helps fund what I do personally, by traveling around the country and helping people. We're trying to create a pattern for people to follow, kind of a blueprint for other communities to follow, and that's motorcyclemissionary.com.
So you're still speaking as long as you possibly can.
I'm here, ain't I, brother?
That's right. And so you take that gigantic, how big is that big old mobile home?
Oh, I got a 37-foot RV with a 30-foot trailer I pull behind it. Man, I'm bigger than a tractor and trailer, and it's all about hope. It says hope is real and change is possible.
You got stuff all over that thing. It's beautiful. Right. You're on the road. You're sharing the gospel. You're telling people you're living on Incline. You don't quit till your last breath, right? Your last breath, you're going to be telling people.
That's right. I want to slide in sideways, completely used up, man.
That's a good thing to end on. Slide in sideways. That's what we should have called this thing. Slide in sideways podcast. Love you. I love you. I'm so thankful God brought us together those many years ago at that little conference.
That's right.
And you've been a blessing to me. And I mean, it's not a big enough word, a blessing to literally thousands and thousands of people around the country. And we're praying for your healing and just believing that your ministry is just getting started in a lot of ways, man. So thank you for hanging out with us on Living on Incline. I love you.
I love you too, John. Thanks for having me, man. This may be the last opportunity I really get to speak out before I may have to go in for this surgery. And so I just want to thank God for every opportunity he gives me to share about his goodness.
So share this thing. Let people know about what's going on Living on Incline. This is Jeff Stultz, and I'm John Eklund. God bless you guys. Thanks for coming. Hey, thanks again for joining us on Living on Incline, sponsored by Recovery Live. Would you do us a favor and just hit that subscribe button, share with your friends? And again, we want to explore our full God-given potential and see what we are capable of. So again, hit that subscribe button, and thank you so much for joining us on Living on Incline.